on mechanics either.
We're live.
You want to talk?
Oh, we're on.
I got to turn my light on. It is recording. Very good. The Common Council meeting to be held in the Greenfield City Hall Common Council Chambers, room 100 at 7325 West Forest Home Avenue is called to order at 7 p.m. Would you please call the roll?
Present.
I'm sorry, my mic was not on. Alderperson Labatsky,
Present.
Alderperson Bailey,
Present.
Alderperson Akers,
Present.
Alderperson Sarian,
Present.
Alderperson Kastner.
Present.
Item 2 is opening prayer. Just 1 second.
God of all creation, we come before you on this as we begin the season of fall, being able to enjoy the wonderful colors of the trees as they change day to day. You are the source of all that is good and the source of all our blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to come together this evening and ask for your hand of blessings on all of us, and ask that you will guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our works and our goals. And as this meeting comes to an end, deliver us to our homes safely, where we await your new day tomorrow. Amen.
Amen. Item C is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving along, D, entertain a motion to approve the September 17th, 2019 Common Council minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Akers, second by Alderperson Labatsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I have no mayor's report this evening. Is there an aldermanic report? None this evening. Are there any announcements?
Isn't it Family Fun Fest this weekend?
Well,
I can't
Family
remember?
Fun Fest is this weekend
The
on
tents are
Saturday,
being set up and,
as well as the DPW Expo is on Thursday.
okay.
And it looks like they're going to have to switch that all around because of the weather and the rain that's coming later tonight.
Yeah.
So, yep. Sorry, thank you for pointing that out. I forgot. Item H, citizen commentary. There doesn't.
There
there
is,
some this
apparently.
evening? Are you here for a specific item? Okay, that, you don't have to fill that out. That's good. You're good. You're good. Item I, old business. I don't have any appointments this evening. There's still a vacancy. There are a number of vacancies on the Board of Review, Zoning Board of Appeals, Tree Commission,
Park?
and Parks. So, and that's typically the third district appointment. So if you want to grab somebody, that'd be great. Item I2. So this is adopting a resolution to disallow or allow the claim of,
All right, this is the one that I need to get out to look at it. I wanted to
to be
do that.
placed on the next agenda then?
Wanted to do that last week and was sick, so I didn't get a chance to do it. Gonna try to get out there this week.
Okay, it's been going around. Item J, new business, claim received from Piero Simoni, sorry.
This claim was referred to the city's insurance company.
Okay, J2, claim received from Joe and Don
Shika.
Shika, yep.
This claim was referred to the city attorney.
3 are various applications for operator licenses. I'd entertain a motion to approve. There aren't any problems.
Motion to approve.
Alderperson Kastner is a second. Second by Alderperson Akers, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 4 is an application for a Class B license received from Ina Jika Pizza for the property at 6131 West Cold Spring Road, also known as Marcel's Pizzeria. The beer will be stored in the glass window refrigerator next to the cashier and served in the seating area. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alderperson Kastner, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Akers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 5 is discussion decision to sign intergovernmental cooperation agreement with West Dallas for a street improvement project. This is from the Board of Public Works. Alderperson Labatsky is the chair. Entertain a motion to approve that agreement.
So moved.
Motion by Alderperson Labatsky, second.
Second.
Second by Alderperson Sarian. And this is on Howard, right? Or is this Morgan?
This is on 116th Street between Howard and Morgan.
Okay, 106, okay. What'd you call?
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Item 6, discussion decision to adopt an ordinance amending Section 804 of the Greenfield Municipal Code regarding parking zone reserved for persons with disabilities at 3829 South 39th Street. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Labatsky, was it? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Sarian. Would you please call?
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Item 7, discussion decision to adopt the winter maintenance policy. This is put together by Mr. Katz with the help of John, I think, and the folks in DPW. It's been fully vetted at the Board of Public Works. I entertain a motion to approve.
This is not going to go lightly.
Motion to approve. Second, Kastner, for discussion.
Alderperson Labatsky is maker of the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Sarian. Quickly under discussion, sorry.
Under discussion, there was an amendment at the Board of Public Works for us to regulate how many hours our work during a snowstorm. I felt strongly that it should be under the discretion of our superintendent and that we should not be dictating or putting rules in place when there's been no issues, no accidents, no reason to change what we're doing now. What we're doing now is working. We don't have the staff to not have our drivers work an extra couple hours, and it's very rare, according to the superintendent, that the plow drivers do work.
I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to set by policy a maximum number of hours, and I thought it was 16, wasn't it, under this policy? Which we would. So, I mean, we would. Right. I don't think. And while I agree retaining management rights to be able to do whatever, management sort of wants as a concept in collective bargaining is important, having people work more than a double shift is something that we would never do anyway.
We do it now.
Over 16 hours straight.
I think it was
Well,
16.
the policy has a statement in there that says up to 18, but that would be in rare instances at the discretion of the
In the case of
superintendent.
emergency, typically.
Yeah, but
doubles it.
typically 16 hours could be listed as in there as 16 hours is
And
more
remember,
typical.
when you do 18 hours, there are mandatory breaks and lunches associated with each 8-hour shift, so no one would ever be working 18 straight hours or 16 straight hours necessarily.
It wouldn't be straight, right, because there would still be breaks and,
Right, and I
meal
asked
breaks and
John
other
about that.
breaks, yeah.
Yep.
Did
then
the
the
superintendent share his opinion?
Jeff, what was John's take on it?
Well, John felt that on rare occasion, he just wanted to have the option to have somebody there for 18 hours, taking into account the fact that they do get breaks. And
they
that
do
would be
come
at
in
an
back
extreme
to the
snowstorm, long duration, heavy, maybe multiple days.
I don't have an issue either way. The reality is we don't want to place our employees in any sort of danger by falling asleep behind
And
a
it's not
multiple-ton snow.
Every day or every week occurrence, John stated.
Right, but setting reasonable policies are not.
So then we're going to do it for Park and Rec for their plowing too? Aren't they mandated by OSHA or like part of their license?
I will
Brian?
Park and Rec?
No, like the heavy equipment operators, isn't there
Yeah, I
something?
mean, if they have a CDL, typically they've got limitations on the number of hours that they can work. Whether our parks guys are CDL licensed, that I don't know.
So the parks guys don't drive the big dump trucks with the big plows on them. They typically drive pickup trucks.
One for the alleys, right?
the parks guys typically don't plow alleys, only the
Okay, it's
DPW
not-
plows the alleys,
okay.
so,
So
our parks guys typically drive pickup trucks and operate snow blowers and do some things by hand shoveling.
This isn't gonna drastically change the snow plowing service that our residents are used to?
No,
what-
not at all.
What the goal of that policy or the objective there is to kind of show what we do now, basically. That's what we do now.
Into this.
Right, and what that does is it creates a, it's kind of a guide so that we're consistent from working foreman to working foreman, or the employees themselves have expectations. Also, you know, everyone will have the same expectation for what it is that, how they're gonna clear, you know, what's first priority, second priority. So, like in the policy, it talks about streets that are highest priority, the collector streets, and streets by schools and streets by businesses are the highest priority, and second priority then is the neighborhoods and things like that. So,
Pretty much what we're doing now.
what we're doing.
It's so,
That was the discussion at Board of Public Works, that it was basically what we're doing now, just kind of defining it so that everybody understands, and it's not just person-to-person knowledge, it's kind of written down, so.
But the amendment was to limit the hours that a plow driver can,
the reality, there
per
are
day.
so many other probably rules and regulations out there, and there's the reasonableness of comments, our
the
concern for
superintendent's
safety.
comment. Yep,
It doesn't make any difference to me whether you leave it in at 18, 16, or none, because the reality is that we're not going to place our employees in harm's way without the proper breaks and the proper rest.
John would never do that. They get to go back to DPW, get out
Our
of the
working
rig, they get
foreman wouldn't do
breaks.
that, our superintendent wouldn't do that.
Yep.
We wouldn't allow them to do that. So if the council wishes to delete that to maintain some sort of management rights, I don't have an objection to that, but by the same token, management's not going to place our employees in harm's way.
That's how I felt at
Well,
committee.
all it was is a 16-hour, it wasn't mandated, it was just, because it's a snowplow policy, the suggestion, I think it passed, saying that 16 hours is a recommended maximum that a snowplow driver would be able to work. 16 hours would be the maximum. It wasn't mandatory, it was just recommended. So the superintendent, he said that occasionally they might go as long as 18 hours, but I would say that would be, very dangerous for the city to have somebody out there all that long. I would rather not have something like that happen, and then wonder why we don't have a policy if there's something bad happens, because he's falling asleep, and then why don't we have a policy that says we're limiting to 16 hours? Well, that's what we're doing here, and it's not permanent, it's not required, it's just, because of the objections of Alderperson Labatsky, the wording was changed to, it's recommended that no snowplow driver go over 16 hours.
Doesn't make any difference if you want to make it recommended or.
So if we adopt it and it's recommended, then it's like not even having it in there, because we're not mandating it, we're recommending it.
Right. If you want to mandate it, that's okay with me, but with your objections.
You can use any adverb that you want. Or verb, is that a verb or an
So
adverb?
Brian, it's suggested, it's not mandated,
Just a mandate,
so,
just recommend.
so it's recommended, so you want to mandate it?
No.
No.
No, it was recommended, that's what.
Okay.
It was
Can I call,
recommended.
here, ask for a call or a question?
So how does I haven't read that part of the ordinance. Does it read recommended now in the ordinance?
What we're approving, I am assuming from the
It was
conversation,
approved.
it's recommended.
As recommended?
Recommended,
The
not
policy
required.
presented at Board of Public Works said 18 hours, and then Bruce's suggestion was to have this as recommended 16 hours.
Right, it was just recommended.
So just recommended, not mandated. So Brian, how would that be written? In parentheses?
Well, so,
Just a friendly suggestion?
I mean, So the policy right now just simply says that it calls for up to 18 hours of coverage per day during the storm. So there's no mandatory coverage there, it's just a potential maximum. So if you wanted to change it, I guess I would just say the winter maintenance policy recommends up to 16 or 18 hours of coverage, whatever you want to put in.
You could say 16 hours,
But it's recommended,
non-exclusive
it's not, we're
of
not
mandatory.
mandating this. It's a recommendation, Brian.
Right, it's a guideline, so what are we talking about? So,
Right.
it's a guideline.
So it's either mandated or not mandated.
No, it's recommended.
Well, so like with laws, generally speaking, you don't want to recommend things in a law.
It's either,
It's like, it's either 55 miles per hour or we recommend you go 55 miles per hour. So
Well, but
that's kind of how policies are too,
Well, you can go
generally
50
speaking.
If you really wanted to.
You could go 50, it's recommended that you not.
so Brian, do you,
40.
do you see my point? So how would something like this be worded? Or it's just said and it's taken under advisement?
A maximum of
It happens
18
in
hours.
17.
So this is the thing, a maximum of 18 hours includes 2-hour breaks for lunch every 8 hours, right? Half hour, I believe.
And 15-minute
And
breaks?
15-minute breaks every so and so.
Yep.
So if you leave it exactly how it is,
It's,
it will be as if
works.
we're recommending not to exceed 16 actual working hours because the 18 hours isn't all
the
working.
2 half-hour lunches is an hour, and then the breaks equal almost another hour. Because you get 2 15-minute breaks every 4 hours, I believe, Jeff, is that right?
It doesn't make any difference what you get. I mean, I'm not trying to
I
be
think
facetious, but
just
I would,
leave it the way it is.
You-
It was
you-
a strong suggestion, and the superintendent heard us, so I don't think we
did
need
he
to
object
put
to
it
the,
in
did
writing.
he object to the language that was in place at the meeting?
To recommend, not
Did he object
mandate.
to the language that's presented? What did you guys vote on? Did you vote on that? And
To,
Did that pass?
Alderperson Bailey's motion was to recommend that they don't exceed
And
60.
at the Board of Public Works, what was the vote? 3-2, 4-1?
Unanimous.
It
It
was
was unanimous,
unanimous?
yeah.
To recommend it.
To recommend it.
Then that's what, that should be what the ordinance is that's before us. Because that's what
So,
you decided as a group.
so it's still the superintendent's discretion then, because it's, we're not
I'm not-
mandating him.
I don't know what the
So
interpretation.
then why even have it in there?
I
It's a
don't,
suggestion.
Are we going around in circles? I don't even know
You
what you're arguing
guys-
for.
Because this makes no sense. If we're not mandating it, Brian, why are we even mentioning it?
well, why did you vote unanimously to change?
Because I
the-
knew at council, as a courtesy to a fellow alder, to bring it to
But it's
council
not
for
even a courtesy to
discussion.
to the other alders, because there were 4 people that voted for the language that says recommended not to exceed 16 hours, I'm guessing.
Okay,
So
so
then that's what was passed at the Board of Public
It's
Works.
a recommended
and
guideline.
it's not mandated, it's
It's not mandated,
recommended.
but we can do that. We could,
So,
So it's stupid to even have it in print,
no, it's not.
because we're not gonna,
Because we're telling the superintendent.
I just
that
wanna
we
know-
We don't really want people driving more than 16 hours. You know,
but
that's
he
what we're
still
telling
can
them.
have people
But an
work
emergency,
18
if
hours.
he feels that he wants to, needs to do that, he can. But it's clear, we're giving him a guideline.
mean-
And that's what, it's a policy, that's what policies do.
yeah,
We give guidelines, this is a policy.
yeah,
We
so
can recommend certain actions. We don't have to mandate them.
all I want to know is that there was an ordinance that passed somewhere, and it had language in it, and it passed unanimously. Is the ordinance that's before you under contemplation that
Do
ordinance?
we have a motion to approve?
There's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion and a second, and then there was discussion.
The motion that I'm reading, it doesn't have the recommendation for this up to, preferred 16 hours. And personally, I tend to agree. I think it's either 16 or it's 18. We're not going to recommend anything.
So currently, the way the ordinance is written, it's up to 18 hours. remembering that probably 2 hours of that is not actually driving,
Lunch and
generally
breaks.
speaking, and I might be wrong, okay? Which means that by the very intent of what you guys wrote, the practical interpretation, it'll be 16 hours, just like you recommend.
Yeah, it won't exceed 16 because they need their lunch half hour and they need their breaks.
Right.
Which I clarified with John at the meeting. So,
So as the ordinance is before us
It's
this
fine.
evening, there's a motion and a second to approve that ordinance as it's written.
without the amendment.
There's not even an amendment on the floor, and it doesn't seem as if there was an amendment that
Wasn't it in the
was
minutes?
proffered.
Yeah, it should have been.
So it passed with the amendment, Mike, I think is.
Well,
I wasn't watching the meeting, so I didn't.
The motion, according to the minutes, was to adopt the winter maintenance policy with provision that the policy language is modified to recommend no driver would go beyond 16 hours without an 8-hour rest in between. Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, so
The
there we
trouble
go.
that I'm having is that in light of the discussion that we've had, that if you work 18 hours, you're really only driving 16 hours. I'm not sure what the change is from what's
Thank you.
on what we have before you versus what the motion was. It seems like it's the same thing
It is
to
the
me.
same thing. Let's just approve.
So there's kind of a rule, an internal rule that we follow here. And it's like, whenever somebody says something like, that sounds stupid, right? And then, like, why are we doing it then? So the language that's before us seems perfectly reasonable, and it meets all of the needs of the people that are sitting up here. Police officers work doubles all the time, 2 8-hour shifts, or 8.25-hour shifts, whatever it is. DPW guys in snowstorms work doubles, which is 16 hours, but they don't work 16 hours straight, right? I can't think of very many circumstances in the last 15 years or something where people are working 18, 24, 36 hours straight. That just doesn't ever happen because we would never place our drivers at risk.
He said rare.
So the 18 hours seems to be reasonable, but if you know,
But they're not on the road 18 hours, Mike. They're,
I understand that.
you
and
know,
I-
it's 16, so they're not exceeding.
And they might get half-hour lunches. I don't know if they get hours. So, but they're not working 18 hours straight, ever, that I can remember.
So,
I would like to respect the motion that came out of the Board of Public Works.
That's what passed. So if that's what it says, I mean, we're arguing about, but that's not what passed. So what we're voting on is what passed and as it was amended, whether it was right or wrong.
it's the
Whatever,
same.
but I'm not disagreeing. I'm missing the Brewer game because of this, and this lady's sitting here.
Aren't they the
So,
same?
I mean,
Essentially the same.
okay, so just so we're clear, calling the question, just so we're clear, the motion is what we're passing the ordinance as it was amended at the Board of Public Works. That's what it is. That was unanimous.
What's in front of us?
Well, the minutes say that, and the ordinance doesn't reflect that, so the city attorney has to spend an hour probably tomorrow.
Oh, I won't spend any time. I'll just tell Jeff to do it because
So, I mean, the ordinance should be what was passed.
I'd love to respect the body, the board.
It was unanimous. So, I mean, I can't argue with that. Unless the intent was, well, we're gonna like you said, we're unanimously passing this so we can argue about it later.
There's
But then
nothing
we
to
should,
argue
then we
about.
should send it back.
Like, send it back. I don't care. It just
No.
makes no sense to even.
There's a
discuss this
there,
Because there's no change. It's exactly the way it's been all these years. It's
But-
just on paper.
well, so the way laws work is things go on paper and that's what they decide. Okay, they're called to the question, this is as it passed the Board of Public Works. Right? Okay? And I think assuming in that motion is that Jeff and the city attorney will make the ordinance comply to that. And Linda, Alderperson Lewatsky, you're absolutely right. It doesn't make any difference because they're the same.
It's the same.
So we just spent 15 hours
Yeah.
proving that. Or 15 minutes, sorry, it seemed like hours. Motion was made and seconded to pass the ordinance as passed by the Board of Public Works with the corrections to be made. It's consistent with that.
As a
you call?
recommendation.
Add whatever it passed,
Put it in large print.
whatever passed.
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Okay, moving along. Sorry, I just got into the Board of Public Works minutes there. Okay, let's. All right. I would entertain a motion to approve items 8, 9, 10, and 11. These are items from the Finance and Human Resources Committee. Alderperson Sarin being the chair. They're the mileage reimbursements, investments, reinvestments, that stuff.
I move for approval.
Motion by Alderperson Sarian to approve 8, 9, 10, and 11. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Kastner. Would you please call?
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey. Alderperson Bailey. Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Okay. Item 12 is an application for an operator license received from Allison Edwards. She's here this evening, right? Yep, you're good. Notice is hereby given the council will convene in a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent B, and F, considering licensure, social or personal history or medical information, and then may reconvene into open session to take such action as deemed appropriate. Entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go in closed session.
By
Second.
Alderperson Kastner, second by Alderperson Labatsky. Would you please call on that?
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
We are now in closed session. If everybody could.
Do we have two?
Are you here, the person in the back, are you here for, pretty exciting stuff, eh? This is how laws are made. So you're gonna have to leave, because it's a closed session, okay? You can stay, if you would like, you could come sit up here at that table. Don't be intimidated.
come out of closed session.
Wait, not right. We had it, just, no.
Session?
Motion by Alderperson Akers to come out of closed session at 7:50. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Sarian, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So coming out of closed session, this is a rather unique situation. Can you explain this to us a little bit?
Sure. The trouble that we have this evening is we have statutory provision 125.04 sub 5 sub B, which provides that no license or permit related to alcohol beverages may be issued under this chapter to any person who has habitually been a law offender or who has been convicted of a felony unless the person has been duly pardoned. In this case, we have an individual who has been convicted of a felony. There is no pardon. In fact, I think we heard that the testimony was that she was hoping to maybe get a pardon, working with her lawyer towards doing that, but that we clearly don't have that. And so I'm not sure that there's eligibility for a license at this point.
So,
I would make a motion to deny the request.
Second.
motion by Alderperson Kastner, second by
the
Alderperson Akers. I mean,
direction.
under discussion, it sounds like legally they can't approve it.
Right.
So, motion's been made second and all in favor of denying,
Aye.
and the denial is based on the legal inability to approve. So it's not based on the merits of your testimony or your explanations here this evening. Okay? I mean, just to be clear about that. This is, the denial, as I understand it, is
Do we
based,
roll on this one?
I don't think you have, well, we
Oh,
can. All
we
in
did.
favor?
Well,
We did.
we did. We all said aye.
Did you? Okay. Was it unanimous? Because I didn't see Bruce say aye, so I was looking at you.
But I thought we weren't even able to vote.
So what we're doing is, technically, we're denying it based on the fact that we have to,
Oh, is that, I see.
Yep,
okay? And it's not based on the merits of the application.
correct.
Okay. All right. Items for future agenda, the budget. We will probably likely have a closed session item, either at the Finance Committee meeting coming up with regard to health insurance.
What is that meeting?
I think it's next week. It depends. It might need to be 14 to 20 days away from last Friday or Monday. There's a reason for that. So as soon as it's appropriate, we'll have a closed session item at Finance with relation to health insurance. Hopefully by next week, but I'm not sure if it's going to be there in time.
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:53.
Motion to adjourn at 7:53. Brewers are up 3-0.
Second.
I've been told.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
motion carries. Thank you for taking the gavel there, Alderperson. Bye-bye.